So I think we'll just start this out with welcome to Dredging Deep, breaking ground in aggregate mining. I'm your host, John Jones, CEO of Custom Dredge Works. Today on our inaugural podcast, we have We have Cash McCloy, our director of sales here at Custom Dredge Works.
Yep.
And we're really just getting this thing going, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been exciting 2023 for us.
It has.
Super exciting 2024.
Yeah.
And we've decided that it's important for us to have a social presence.
Yep.
And in order to do that, we're going to try to put together this podcast discussing.
Yeah. You know what, John? I happen to personally believe there's a lot of folks out there who are either dredging already and want to expand their knowledge and how they can maybe do it better, or there's folks who are doing their mining the old-fashioned way, whether that be with an excavator or a drag line, something along those lines, and they're interested, they're curious about how could they maybe do it better, more effectively, more efficiently, lower cost per ton. So this might be an interesting podcast for those folks too.
I think it will be. I think it'll be an opportunity, not only for us to showcase, but for us to showcase other stuff that's in the market of aggregate mining that may have not directly relate to a dredge or one of our products, but is used in the same realm as where our product is. And so our plan is just to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And we got a few different things planned moving forward. With this, with some different guests and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll just be learning that and keeping that moving on as we go.
There's a lot of good information we have to share with people who are in the dredging world. Again, people who are doing it, for those who are just curious about it, not just to sell our products, but there's a lot of good information out there that we can share. And I think this is a good podcast, a good idea. It's timely.
We're gonna do it, and so get ready. That said, I think that we could probably this first podcast we're gonna set it up. We're gonna talk about me and Cash, talk about our history, how we got into this business.
I want you to talk about yourself, John.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I will. How's that? We're going to talk about how I got into the business, and later on how we brought Cash in.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about the history of Custom Dredge Works. Obviously, our range of products. We're going to roll right into that, and then finish up with kind of what's new for the new year. So, moving right into it.
Happy New Year, everybody, by the way. Happy 2024.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah,
Time flies.
Went by quick. How I got into the business. It's a great story. I think it's one of those stories where you look back and go, man, sometimes things just kind of happen, and they happen maybe for a reason, or maybe, there's, opportunity shows up, and that's what my story is for Custom Dredge Works. I went to college and got a degree in finance, and it was going to be about the time I was getting out of school. It was 99, 98, 99, and the tech boom was just booming. It was just flying, and so I really believed all my way through college that I wanted to be a stockbroker and play in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And, had some opportunities when I got out of college to do that. But what I was finding out right away is that, and don't take this the wrong way, Cash, because I know that this is your sales tool. But
sure.
But you have to do a lot of cold calling. And it's was even more difficult for me because I wasn't selling an actual product or tool in my mind. I had come from a background of working in a metal shop since I was 12 years old. I always made things.
Right.
And, when you get out and you do that, you're selling more or less paper, and it's difficult for me to, obviously, shares of important companies and this and that.
It wasn't something tangible you could put your hands on.
It wasn't tangible to me. And I knew almost immediately that I had done all of this, and I got a lot of really good education, and it really helped me on the finance end of building the company. But it almost instantly hit me, hey, this isn't going to work out.
Doesn't feel right.
Because ultimately, what they really wanted me to do to get started was to kind of hit the people up that I knew.
Sure.
And
tap your sphere of influence.
And most of those people didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
We come from farmers.
Yeah.
And so I was just not going to do it.
Right.
And so I called my dad, who had run the metal shop I'd been in since the beginning of time, and I said, Dad, I can't do this. And he said, well, why don't you come to work with me? And I said, and I'd watched Dad struggle in the metal fabrication business my entire life.
Right.
And we got by on not a lot. And he ran a little metal shop, which had maybe 8 to 10 employees, and they built parts for other manufacturers. And I told him that the only way I would do it is if we could write a business plan and we could try to grow the business. I didn't want to struggle like he did. And I rolled right into that, and he agreed.
Yeah.
I wrote a business plan. We went to the bank. We borrowed $300,000.
Wow.
In 1999 from a local bank.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was the end of the world.
Yeah. It's a lot of money
It's
still.
so much money, but it was a ton of money then.
Yeah.
And to us in particular, it was a ton of money.
Yeah.
We got fortunate. We went to a couple of auctions where they had some fabricating equipment and stuff. We were able to buy some of the fabricating equipment and bring in a few pieces, and that really kind of got us going.
So you can do larger projects.
Better technology. We did everything by hand. We cut and torched everything by hand before. We were able to bring in some CNC equipment to do some of that. I mean, it wasn't the greatest stuff, but it was definitely a huge step up for us.
Yeah.
That said, instantly we got doing that, and the business got more and more difficult. It was shortly after that, there was kind of a lull, a downturn in the economy for a short bit, and everything got kind of tight, and margins got extra tight, and we were struggling to just subside. We were getting by.
Somewhere right in there, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know exactly the year, but you guys took that business and moved into the actual facility that we're in today.
Right, that's correct. So,
as a renter, you rented a space here in this facility.
Right. Yeah. So exactly how it happened is at that time when I bought that equipment, we moved that equipment and leased the new facility.
Yeah.
And we were just in the back corner. I think we had maybe 20,000 square feet. Right?
Yeah.
That's all we had. Yeah. And we were going back there, but it was a big step up for us because we were more or less in what was amounted to a couple of garages side by side hooked onto a nasty old metal building before. And we got going, we got moved in there, and then, like I said, it was kind of a downturn.
Yeah.
And secondly, we were doing a lot of projects that were relatively low margin, very difficult to make.
But that move turned out to be fortuitous, correct? I mean,
it was fortuitous in the fact that the building was owned by a ready-mix company.
Yeah.
And that ready-mix company had 3 or 4 dredges.
3 or 4 dredges.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, and we got to be really good friends with the family. The company was called Myers Ready Mix.
Are they still around?
They are no longer around. They sold out to another company.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there were 3 brothers at one time, then 2.
Okay.
Gene and Vince Meyer. But the Myers brothers kind of would come in and feed us with whatever project they were doing. We would typically get all the fab work.
Right.
And, and through our struggling, we were just barely kind of halfway getting by. That second winter, I think we were in here, they had pulled a dredge out of the water.
Oh, wow.
And one of their old ones.
Right.
And needed it to be rebuilt.
Right.
And brought it to us.
Wow.
And we were, at the time, I was exploring a bunch of different things for products for me to make, because I was realizing that building parts for other manufacturers was probably not going to be a great margin for us ever.
Right.
Like we just, it was just going to be difficult
to
really make it.
Yeah.
And we thought, I could really use a product.
Right.
And out here rebuilding this dredge. And of course, I'm not thinking a whole lot of it at the time.
Yeah.
But a regional aggregate products guy, the guy that sells you your screens for your shaker or, your dredge pump parts,
Sure.
that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
happened to stop in. Was actually came in to visit the Myers and saw that our stuff was sitting out beside the building. And he stopped in and came to see me, and he asked me if we had built it. And I said, well, we didn't build it, but we rebuilt it.
Right.
And he asked me if he thought that I could build another one.
Exactly like the one you had rebuilt.
Pretty much like that, you know. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, of course I can, right?
So, by the way, how long did it take you to do the first rebuild? What was the timeline on that?
Not that bad. It was, a lot of it was already there, and so we were just sprucing it up and build some new sections of the ladder or whatever, trying just to fix some general things on it, clean it up, make it look nice, blast paint, take care of it. Anyways. He stopped in and, asked me again, do you think you could build one? And I said, why, certainly, I'm certainly can.
Of course.
And he said, well, I have a guy I'd like you to meet
out
in kind of Great Bend area, Kansas. I'd like you to come out here and meet this guy. And I said, okay. And we went out there and I met my first customer. His name was Nelson Stone.
Okay.
Stone Sand and Gravel.
Sure. Still customers to this day.
Still customer to this day. And matter of fact, we became pretty good friends over the deal. But sold him the first one.
Okay.
And then by word of mouth, another. And then by word of mouth, another. And by word of mouth, another.
Wow.
Finally, one day we've got, hooked up with some larger outfits.
Right.
And we sold a couple dredges to them.
So all of a sudden you had your product.
So all of a sudden we had the product.
Yeah.
And then it just became, how do we get good enough at this to make this ours?
Right.
And that took some time.
Gotcha.
That took some time. So I spent a lot of time out on the dredges, talking with the people, talking with the operators. What do they like? What do they dislike?
What works.
And kind of what works.
Yeah.
And was able to come up with what our design is for the aggregate dredge, which we believe to be a little better than the competition. We provide our stuff to be simpler and easier to operate.
Born out of the bowels of the mining industry here in the Midwest.
Born out of mining, right? That's kind of what really got us going. I mean, it was a concrete ready-mix company supplying their own sand that really opened the door for us to even get going in this.
Right.
And provided me with a place to test a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And, I didn't have a degree in dredges when I got started.
Who does?
But I paid for it time after time through the testing and trial part of this.
Real world life and experiences. Yep.
Right. And then for several years with that, with us, it was, kind of, we'd build 1 or 2 a year, and then it became 3 or 4 a year, and then it became 6 or 7 a year.
Yeah.
And then now we're like a dozen, trying to get one out a month.
Right.
And, it's, there's challenges to growth like that.
Sure.
But I think we're handling it pretty well.
Well, let me just interject. In that period of time, you started out with 20,000 square foot back in the corner. We now own this entire facility.
Yes. 36 acres.
36 acres of land. We've expanded with some new buildings. So now we have a total of how many square feet under roof?
200,000 square foot under roof. And then we have, like I said, 36 acre facility.
Yeah, right.
So
plenty of room to grow.
Plenty of room to grow. A lot of really good space here, and a lot of plans even for some growth moving forward. So
that's quite a trajectory, and this has all happened over the course of about 22, 23 years.
Yep,
approximately. That's fantastic.
It's been really
a great
good.
story.
It's been really good, but the better story is how we got hooked up with Cash.
That is a good story.
Our director of sales. And I don't know. You want me to tell it? I'll tell it.
Well, let's see. We can always edit
as we go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's exactly. So I'll start it out.
Sure.
And then you chime in.
Okay.
So the one guy that we don't have here today and would have been great to sit with us today
CJ
is my dad, CJ. he is the patriarch of the family.
That's right.
And for years held office and court, if you will, here.
Yes.
Daily.
Yep.
And Cash, before he came to work for us, was a equipment finance guy.
Yeah.
And
in the oil and gas space, I was doing a lot of oil. I'll just fill in a little gap here. I was doing a lot of oil and gas projects, selling and financing oil and gas related equipment and oil and gas projects in and around the Permian Basin, Texas, Louisiana, and that industry, as anybody knows, it goes through some major ups and downs, and it went through a major down, crashed really, and all of a sudden I'm trying to figure out, maybe I need to find another line of work that's a little more stable. And it was about that time that I met CJ.
And you met him through a call to him.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to get him.
It was a cold call.
It was a cold call. Yeah. That's right. Trying to get him into some gear.
Yes.
And if you know my dad, he's a no bullshit kind of guy. Absolutely will just, he just tells it how it is every time.
Pretty much, yeah.
But for some reason, when Cash called him, he liked him.
Yeah.
And they're in the middle of the conversation. He basically said, do you really like your job? And Cash, I think, responded, well, I like my job, but it's really not for me. There's no upside.
I'm looking for something.
Yeah. And, I think Dad, at the time, CJ more or less said, call me again in a few weeks and we'll talk. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it went, is it not?
It was a little longer timeline than that. CJ and I really sort of developed a friendship over the telephone.
Yeah.
I just liked talking with him. And so I would say about once a month or so, I would call him and we would just talk. And it would just be, sometimes about business, but a lot of times about politics or sports or whatever might be going on in the world. And I just had a good time talking with him. And I think he felt the same way. And so that was kind of how it went for several months.
Yeah.
And finally one day, I'll never forget, I said, CJ, tell me how business is going. He said, Cash, it's going really, really great. We can hardly keep up with it. It's really taken off. And I said, maybe CJ ought to come work for y'all. What do you think? And he says, you know what? Are you serious about that? And I said, I think I am. and so that's kind of how it started. And one thing led to another. And I got introduced to you. Yep. And y'all had me come out to visit, and we spent a fair amount of time together, and one thing led to another.
So to be truthful and fair with it, when he came to me with it, I thought,
there's no way.
Holy what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But I was like, I'll listen to anything.
Yeah.
And he didn't even tell me what your name was until you got here. And
really?
So,
I didn't know that.
So you get here, right? And he goes, this is Cash McCloy.
Yeah.
He's applying for the sales director job. And my first thought was, okay. But his name is Cash. And how could you get a better name for your sales director than Cash McCloy? So I heard him out, and we hit it off.
Yeah.
And, and I think that things have worked out exceptionally well.
Really, really well. I've loved it here, and I've loved, starting out, I didn't know a whole lot. I knew a little bit, but I've just been drinking from the fire hose, pretty much still am, to be honest. But I've just loved working with you guys, you and CJ and everybody here. And it's just been a really fun ride because we've been growing and improving every year. And it's a great, what you said earlier about selling something tangible. That's a good feeling. And it's the first time I've had that. And with a company that really has a significant commitment to their customers and their employees, and turning out a really first-rate product. And so I've enjoyed it, and still am really enjoying it.
What year was that? Was that 15?
So I came on board in 2015.
15.
Yeah, so going on 9 years.
It's amazing. It feels like it was just yesterday.
It does.
It really does.
Flown by.
I mean, I do not, and don't take this the wrong way, I do not view you as a long-time employee. And that's weird. I mean, not to say it the wrong way. I just
How about now?
It just seems new.
Yeah.
It still seems new, and I think that's because
Yeah.
we're constantly doing new things, like this podcast.
Yeah.
We're constantly pushing.
It's always
that envelope.
fun.
It's always fun,
Yeah.
and I just don't take that as a bad way.
You know
I
what?
think it's
It has
fresh.
really flown
it's
by.
fresh.
It really has.
Yeah, it really
and
has.
I agree with that.
And
I
it's
agree with
just
that. I feel the
zoomed-
same way.
It just zoomed by.
But I've just for the record, I feel very committed and determined to stay here long term. So very much enjoying what I'm doing.
Well, that's too bad because this is your last day.
Okay. Yeah. Let's edit that. Chop.
Chop. Right. Just kidding. So that said, that's kind of our history.
Yeah.
That's the history of the company.
Yep.
More or less. I mean, there's obviously we could go into that for quite a bit longer, but that's the basics of it. How we got into doing dredges, and a little bit about myself and a little bit about Cash. I suppose the next thing is at Custom Dredge Works, if you come to us, what can you get, right?
Yeah.
And really, our niche is hydraulic dredges, really between 8 inches discharge diameter and 20 inches discharge diameter.
Yeah.
And those would be electric, diesel,
Yeah.
even natural gas powered.
We did one or two natural gas dredges. But I would like to say there's an emphasis here. I mean, not that we can't do dredges for contract dredging. We have, and we will in the future. But there's a definite emphasis here on mining dredges. Designing dredges specifically to be very effective in a mining scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we cut our teeth on mining.
Yep.
The vast majority of our dredges or the style of dredge we build.
Yep.
It's a custom piece.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for customers to look at it and make
But it kind of has to be, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, each mine's a little
in the mining
bit
environment.
of a different animal.
It's typically every piece is a custom piece.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
We also do. Booster pumps, electric, diesel, natural gas.
Yep.
We do both cutter head style. We're one of the few companies that do chain ladders.
Maybe one of the only companies that do a chain ladder.
Yeah, you don't see very many companies doing those.
Right.
They have a real specific niche.
Yep.
But we do chain ladders, both 7, 8, 9, and 11-inch pitch.
Mm-hmm.
We also do some ancillary equipment to the dredges.
We just launched a dredge just a week or two ago. That's
yeah, you're right.
the jet.
Straight suction jet, water jet.
Water jet.
Yep.
Straight suction dredge, which is awesome.
Yeah. In fact, we've done a couple of those in the past. It's they're not something that you think about instantly when you think about building these dredges, but definitely something that in the right location can be really useful.
Right.
We also build ancillary equipment to dredges, and being dewatering equipment. We build a variety of dewatering wheels.
Yeah.
A 300-ton, 500-ton. 750 ton and 1,100 ton an hour dewatering wheels.
Right.
And then on top of that, we have a great parts department that stocks winches, snatch blocks, pump parts, chain parts, cutter head parts, hydraulic components. Just all that you could possibly dream of.
Yeah, we keep that well stocked, and they are very responsive to getting the product shipped out. If not same day, next day. It's pretty responsive operation.
All of that has been really put together in our recent expansion in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And so there are 2 complete buildings here just of inventory.
Yeah.
Just of inventory. Everything from a Caterpillar engines all the way to nuts and bolts.
That's right.
All the way to nuts and bolts. Aside from that, I mean, we got what's on tap for moving into what's on tap for 24.
Yeah.
Obviously, this podcast.
Yeah.
Which is we're excited about rolling into.
Future episodes for this podcast.
Future episodes, right? I know that you won't be joining me for everyone.
Not everyone.
You'll be in and out.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to get that going.
Yeah.
We've got more plant expansion on the plans this year. We're going to do some additional expansion work, and then we've got the launch of our new products going to happen around the time of the NSSGA meeting and the
coming up in March in Nashville, Tennessee.
The Ag One Expo,
2024. Yep.
The Ag One Expo.
Yep.
And
we'll be there at the Ag One convention in Nashville, March 25th to 27th, in an exhibit booth there. So come by and see us. Say hi. We'd love to meet you.
Yep.
So.
And before that, we'll be attendees at the NSSGA.
That's right.
Meetings.
Their annual convention.
Yep. At the meetings. Let's talk about some of the new stuff we got coming out this year. I think there's a lot of. I'm super excited about it. I know that you are. We have a few big products
big changes
that we want to come in that we're coming out with.
Yeah.
The first thing, and probably the biggest thing, is our new controls package with the Dredge Link software.
Yeah.
Then this Dredge Link, what it does is allows for the workings of the dredge, your vacuum, your discharge pressure, your tons per hour, if you so have the proper density meter, the pump speed, the horsepower. We can bring whatever we want to, whatever really you want to see, onto a website that then you can view from anywhere in the world.
Right.
We can view it
in real time.
And you can view it at your office or on your cell phone and your browser on your cell phone. You can really do it anywhere by just logging into your link.
Yeah.
It's a real nice thing. I know we're working on with that also the ability to have some views, some camera images, possibly some video.
Yeah.
So
you can see exactly what's going on.
It's going to bring that control or that ability to, really get firm data on your plant.
That's right.
What's going on?
Yeah. Not only that, John. Not only will we be able to view all this in real time through that portal, the Dredge View portal, but it will automatically record and archive all that data for 5 years in the cloud. So if you want to, do comparative analysis over different periods of time to see how you're performing, or maybe how certain dredge personnel are performing versus others, that kind of thing. A lot of comparative analysis available, through by archiving all that data. So a lot of power there.
And we're gonna roll that out for everyone to see at the show.
Yeah.
At the show.
Yeah.
Along with that,
I want to add one thing.
Go ahead.
Well, the Dredge View we believe is so core and so important to our dredging offering, especially in the mining space going forward. It's such an important core piece of what we're adding to our dredges going forward, that it's now been decided that we're going to include the Dredge View package in every one of our dredges going forward. Just a part of the program.
Dredge Link.
Sorry, Dredge Link.
Yeah, the Dredge Link package.
I misspoke. Yeah.
And what you said there with Dredge View is a great segue. It's
great
you've been doing this podcast for years.
Yeah, that happened. I meant to say that.
Yeah, exactly right. Dredge View is the second thing we're bringing out. And Dredge View is our sonar package.
That's right.
And we've teamed with some real experts in the industry, Mesutronics, out of Florida, and produced this package special for dredges. It's it's got a great price point. It's simple to operate. And it provides you with a view of what's happening under the water. Super important probably for deep digging dredges.
That's right, for sure.
So there's a lot of places that could really use this.
And there's a GPS component to it.
And there's a GPS component to it too. So you can provide yourself with what is basically a map or a rendering of what you've been what you've dredged out on the bottom, and you can see the highs and lows, and if you're leaving material behind or digging too deep, you should be able to see all that using this product.
It helps you execute your mining plan.
Right. Along with the Dredge View sonar itself, there's also some other packages as far as, getting those renderings at, let's say, for instance, you didn't want to go full Monty on the sonar package. They have a package where, you could have a service provided to you, and, you pick the number of times a year, and basically a robot little boat is shipped to you. You throw it in the lake, and it measures around there and provides you with the rendering similar to what you would get. So you could, if you just wanted to know what it was like, and if you were leaving stuff behind, but you didn't want to go to that extent, you could go that route as well.
Gotcha.
Little more affordable.
So this is a whole episode coming up. We're really going to get into the deep weeds and all this. But this is something that's coming.
It'll be an episode.
Dredge View will be an episode. Dredge Link will be an episode. And we're rolling out both of those products before or during the Ag One show.
Basically, right at Ag One is when we're going to roll out for it. I know that you've been working hard on our new website, and that'll be included in the new website as well.
Right.
So there's all that's going through it. The last item that's new that we're doing is our Custom Pro, what we're calling our Custom Pro series of modular dredges.
Yeah, very exciting.
So this is basically a dredge that quickly pins together.
Yeah.
And what's different about our product here is that, there's been different products out there that you take a dredge and you can make a quick portable little dredge. But this is bigger, more powerful, and has an underwater pump.
Right.
Which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Also, ladder links at 45, 65, and 85 feet.
Right.
Can really nobody is providing that in that space at all.
Right.
Something that we'll probably be offering as a rental as well.
Yeah.
So you want to go in and open up a new pit?
Yeah.
You can rent one of these from us.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting episode when we describe the this new dredge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's coming up here.
The Custom Pro.
Custom Pro series.
Yeah.
Right now there's going to be two versions, the 10-inch and the 12-inch version of that. We're a little bit limited on size right now, but it's brand new.
Who would be the ideal customer for the Custom Pro Dredge series, do you think, just as an example?
Probably the ideal customer for the Custom Pro series is small to medium-sized producers, guys doing 100,000 to 500,000 ton a year of material.
Right.
That's probably...
What about a customer who's maybe got a couple, 2-3 mine locations, and they want to maybe share a dredge?
Right. If you're doing like maybe 100,000 ton at 3 different locations, and you want to move it quickly and set up, and you want to get deeper than you were before, this is the dredge for you.
This is a good one.
Because you can put this thing together in an afternoon.
Right.
It's really, really simple.
Easy to move.
Plug and play type stuff.
And then for our contract dredging friends, another opportunity for those guys. Now they've got a ladder that could be 85 foot long. Yeah. Underwater pump. They need to get deep. They can get deeper. Most of the time with those contract dredgers are dealing with a ladder that's maybe 50 foot. Yeah. Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes 65 foot. Right.
So, we get 25 foot further and we can operate at a little steeper angle with that pump on the ladder.
And if they've got a smaller, easy to transport dredge, the complaint I hear most often is just not enough power. Right. Not enough power, not enough depth. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it should be revolutionary to the market, and we're going to be excited to get it out there. And like I said, we're going to be looking at ways that we can help provide these to guys where you can possibly rent some of these.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
That said, man, I think we've hit almost everything on the list.
Yeah. It's been a great first episode, John. Good overview, what's coming down the pike, and awesome. I'm excited about this. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited as well. I'll be interested to see how this is received as we get it out there, and how we continue to make these podcasts better.
I need to get a cool shirt like you, man. Well, black with my name on
Talk to the boss. Talk to the boss. See if he can help you out. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. So, anyways, that's all for Dredging Deep today.
Episode 1.
Episode 1 in the books.
Awesome.
Bobby, how was it?